Okay, should you do your faster sessions on the road or the track? Now, we're gonna look at the two different options, road and track, the pros and cons of each. Different elite athletes are doing their faster sessions. Some are doing it on the track, some are doing it on the road, but hopefully by the end of this video, you have a really good idea what is best for you. Now, first of all, there's the age-old saying that you get your speed from the track. So we want to investigate that and we want to see if that's actually true. We also need to think about what is our goal? What are we trying to do? What are we training towards? If that's a 5K on the track or it's a 5K on the road, it's going to be different. If it's a marathon out on the road, again, it's going to be different. So we need to work back from the goal and see what's best for us. Let's investigate both different options, track and road. So first of all, on the track versus the road, the surface is different. So on a track, there's more give. Initially, that may make you feel as if you're bouncing around and you're nice and fast and you feel energetic. It might feel that way, especially if it's different for you because the track is quite new for you. What it actually is extra give. So your muscles are having to work harder for you to propel yourself forward, but the track is also assisting you. Think about it a little bit like super shoes. That extra cushioning you've got is helping propel you forward, but it's also something that you're needing to hit the ground harder in order to propel yourself forward. It's exactly the same, or very, very, very similar. So the muscles are working in different ways, whether that's the smaller calf muscles, the gastroc and the soleus, whether it's that relationship to the Achilles and how the Achilles works, tendons, ligaments also working differently, but the big power muscles, are they working in the same way to if you worked out on the road? Now, if you're out on the road and you've got the tarmac, there's a little bit of give on tarmac versus, for example, concrete, but it's not the same amount of give as on the track. If you're training towards, for example, a road marathon, one of the big problems we come across as runners is in the final third or the final quarter of a marathon, the quads start to get that dull ache, and sometimes it's debilitating to the point where you cannot move forward. It's really important that we emulate that dullness in the faster sessions, so we're teaching the body to run faster on the tarmac, and we're also teaching it to run far on the tarmac as well during our long runs. If we don't get used to that, and it's a shock on race day, it's going to ruin your day, and that's really, really important. Second thing we need to think of is biomechanics. Now, if you're in a road marathon, often running in a lot of straight lines, might be a 90-degree turn, it might be a 180-degree turn like there is at London. We're twisting and turning, but it's not too much. And there's a lot of nice straights where you've got 1, 2, 3 kilometers where it's you in a zone. And for some people, that's a mental game where they need to stay straight and they need to focus. On the track, 400 meters, and it's constant left bends. Every 100 meters there's a left bend. And so your body is you're using biomechanics in a different way. And so there's going to be muscle imbalances. Your right leg is pushing a little bit more. The inside of your right leg is going to be stronger than the inside of your left leg. The outside of your left leg is essentially kind of moving left all the time. So that's going to be stronger than the outside of your right leg. So when you start to take right turns, it's going to be different for you. Even if this is one session a week, remember it's the big session. It's the interval session. It's the session that you're getting your speed from. Really important to think about that. So think about biomechanics. Next thing is pacing. Now, we'll often go to the track and think, as I said earlier, that you get your speed from the track. We need to think whether that's true or not. Now, if you're on the track and you're trying to do consistently 80 seconds laps or 90 seconds laps, it can be really easy to pace that because every single 100 meters or even 50 meters, you've got a little check. It's very simple to sort of like continually move on that 400 meters and keep pace. When you're out on the road, you might be stopping, starting with traffic lights, etc., and that might hinder your pacing. Whereas if you think to yourself then, if I go to the track and get a good workout, it's going to be nice and consistent, the pacing is going to be consistent, and we'll do a 6 times a kilometer. It's very easy to pace. How is that going to affect race day? When you need to go out there and pace, whether it's 5K for a park run, 10K or a marathon, you're out there on the road, you may sometimes be out there in groups, you might be out there alone a lot and you've got to pace yourself using maybe a watch or using the kilometers or mile splits on the road. You've got to pace yourself in the right way. Do you get your speed from the track? my thought is that you don't get your speed specifically from the track. What you do is you get your speed, or you get that extra pace from running with quicker runners. So if you're part of a club, which is always a great thing, you go to track night, there's going to be some 1,500 meter runners there, there's going to be some 5,000 meters there, there's going to be some guys there that are training for a marathon. All those people together means that there's going to be a group doing an interval session. Some of the people are going to be off the front running quicker. Your competitive instinct is going to kick in. You'll want to chase or you'll want to win. And you're going to be running sometimes faster than you really want to, and sometimes you're going to be slower. Exactly the same if you go out and run a long run with a group of people. If you're with 10 people, the chances are it's perfect for 1 or 2 people. Some people are going too fast, some people are going too slow, depending on what the session is. It's exactly the same on the track. You don't get your speed from the track, you don't get your pace from the track. Yes, it might be easier to pace, but it's about running with other fast runners. That's where the pace comes from, your competitive instinct. If you can replicate that and get that out on the road, whether it's with your club or with a small group, way better if you're training for a 5K, 10K on the road, half marathon on the road or marathon on the road, way more beneficial for you. Now, on the mental side, there's 2 ways to look at this. You can think, and I've done this before, I've gone out and ran marathons and half marathons on the track, and mentally you think, it's gonna make me strong, because I'm just doing 400 meter, and if I can do that for 25 laps, and I can do 50 laps, and I can do it for 100 laps, then it's gonna make me way more mentally strong on race day. There is that component. Is it optimal? I don't think so. If you look at your, for example, marathon, and you've got long straights where you start to sort of lose yourself, or your mind starts to drift, it's those areas of the race when you look at the routes and maybe there's not as many fans there. If it's somewhere like London or New York or Chicago where it's heavy with fans, maybe you're out in an industrial part of town and there's not that many fans there, so you kind of like drift away from your pace and your target pace. You've got to kind of lock in and stay focused throughout. You've got to be nice and relaxed. You've got to be locked in on what really counts to you, and that's your target for the day. It may also be the environmental sort of consistency of the track. And you might be in, a stadium where it's a little bit more sheltered from the wind, a little bit maybe more sheltered from the rain, it's not as heavy. If it's snowing or icy, they may have kind of warmed the track or kind of shifted all the snow. That gives you some consistency. There's always a time to be able to go out and run on the track if it's the only possible solution. I would look at it a little bit like treadmill running. So it's good to kind of mix it up, but I'd want to be doing way less track sessions than I would do treadmill sessions. For me, number 1 is running on the surface that you're going to be racing on. If that's a trail marathon, do your faster stuff and do your long stuff on the trail, the type of trail that you're running. And trails, there's no two the same. So you've got that kind of buttery, nice, smooth, runnable trail. It might be super technical trail. Try to do a lot of your speed work on a kind of easy surface where you don't need to think about too much about footfall, but it's still important. If you're racing on the road, and that's going to be kind of pounding on the tarmac kilometer after kilometer for anything from 5K to a marathon or 100K, then I'd want to be doing my faster sessions and my longer sessions out on the road. If you're training for something on the track, I want to be doing as much as I possibly can for the faster stuff on the track. I'd still be doing my easy runs, my recovery runs, my long runs out either on the trail, on the grass, or on the road, so that you're getting your body used to running on the track, but it's not impacting your biomechanics as much. It's not impacting that give. You're getting used to the track, but it's not the whole week for you. So as most of you here are probably watching to talk about sort of road running or trail running, do your speed work, the vast majority of your speed work on your long run on the distance that you're trying to train for. Incredibly important to get right. Good luck.